And who did I assault?
I'm sorry. They just dismissed his case yesterday.
They just dismissed my case. I was in court yesterday. They dismissed my case.
Oh, written
I
order.
am not. Okay.
I don't think that there is. Yes, please do record this.
Hey, sir.
Yes, sir.
No.
All right.
No, I do have a lighter in my pocket.
This guy's a firearm. Yes. The only firearm in this house is my wife's 22. That's locked in a box under our bureau.
Sir, it is. She's posting online. Their private texts.
She calls him whenever she needs money for rent or to get her car. Said, "Come down and fuck me and give me the money for the rent of the car."
He was promising to give her $1,500 for her rent, and this is how she repays him.
Werewolf here. This message goes out to Styxhexenhammer666, one of my favorite YouTubers and influencers. Styx, in the unlikely event that you're watching this, I hope you'll take my advice at least into consideration. And for anyone else watching this, perhaps you might find this relevant to your life in some way or to someone you know, so stick around. Styx, now that we've seen a better look at the behind the scenes of your real life, I believe that I speak for many of your fans when I say, I hate to see you being so careless with your life and everything that you've built to this point. It is, I am sure, the envy of many, and myself included, in many ways. What you've built, a formidable online following for your videos, publishing, writing, editing books that you sell. You seem to allow the usual cliches, the vices, staying involved with girls from your past that were unhealthy relationships, which has gotten you into legal trouble, combined with alcohol and the careless branding of firearms. In one foul swoop, you could easily lose years of your accomplishments. Now, I know things like alcohol for many are much tougher to get rid of, but it can be done, and there's a lot of support out there for you. I have a friend who spent 2 years in jail. The charges I will not speak of. Suffice to say, no one's well-being was put in harm's way because of his actions. Anyway, as part of his parole agreement, he lost access to the internet for 5 years. Now, Styx, think about what being denied access to the internet for even as much as 6 months would do to your livelihood. In the comments of one of his recent videos, titled I Have Nothing to Prove, many of us interpret that as depression or some sort of early midlife crisis. One commenter said something to the effect of, maybe it's because he's trying to teach people without actual students. The actual connection with people that you want to teach is the real deal. Think about his existence. Involves staring into a camera and responding to comments. His other stream of revenue is publishing, but that still involves looking into a computer monitor. And I think what applies to Styx probably applies to a lot of influencers, and there may be some existential crisis that they're going through or will go through at some point, if so much of their lives are lived vicariously, and then a large part of their socialization is talking to or interviewing other influencers, and perhaps re-establishing some sort of connections to the real world to ground their influence in might be a good idea. The comment was a response to, that video I mentioned. Also, among the comments on that video, there were many suggestions by the fans, ranging from ideas like spiritual growth, following a religion, or taking up real-world hobbies, sailing, traveling, or volunteering or doing something to serve others. Someone even suggested going for an advanced college or master's degree. Styx, I hope you're reading those comments and at least considering them, and think of the advantages that you have that are unique in what you're doing. Obviously, you're sustaining yourself, making a living, making these videos and books. I think most of us would forgive you if you monetized your channel at this point. I know way back in the day you said, out of principle, you wouldn't monetize. Well, anyway, here's my idea. Since you're interested in the occult, you could travel to historic sites that have something to do with occult significance and film your videos there with those backdrops. They would add production value to your show, probably boost you in the algorithms and get more views, and it'd just be kind of cool to do. I know there are so many in New England that aren't too far from where you live. You could start there. You know, one thing I was disappointed in is that when you were in Europe, in your early days, before you had your child, obviously raising a kid doesn't allow very much flexibility for travel and things, but you didn't travel very much. It would have been cool to see one of your videos with the backdrop of, say, Vlad Dracula's castle in Romania. And I'm just playing psychologist here. I noticed at the time you were making a big deal out of the online game Pixel Planet, encouraging your fans to go on and take over different countries on the map by bombarding them with graffiti. Meanwhile, from your room, at your doorstep was centuries of history and culture that were far more accessible to you than for most of us. Yet you blamed anxiety for not getting out much. I know that's something that affects a lot of people these days, but have you asked yourself, is it all in your head, and is something that you could challenge and overcome those challenges? In fact, I remember at one point you'd written a book about managing anxiety. I guess it's always easier to tell other people what to do, to give them advice, than to follow it yourself, and I'm no stranger to that. Maybe you could call up your friend, the Golden One over in Sweden, and he could get you into working out. You could become ripped like Conan the Barbarian, That seems like your thing. That might be kind of cool. But whatever you do, as long as it's something constructive, as long as it's something on the side of upward mobility, maybe you'll find it even easier to give up alcohol. And I have a feeling that what you do, even if it's seemingly unrelated, improving yourself will improve your show in some ways. It'll permeate to other things that you do in life. I just have a feeling that with your talents, that your best days, depending on the choices that you make now, are yet ahead. Well, Styx and everyone else, oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to say. God forbid there's ever a remake of Home Alone or a reboot. But if there is, Styx, I think your dad would be great as the guy in that old film that the kid is watching that tells snakes to get his ugly keister off your property.
She calls him whenever she needs money for renting to get a car. She said, come down and fuck me and give me the money for the rent of the car.
Well, until next time, life, liberty, and the pursuit of all!